Animal Diseases TADS project. We call it OHRT, funded by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. This is called BMZ. So having said that, we are coming to the agenda of our today meeting. So the first item is a recap of the first day. Volunteer to do that recap, or who is going to do it?
If there is anyone from the participants from yesterday, it would be nice if they would like to do a summary, what they have been heard about. Yeah. If not, we will do it. There is no any way.
Okay. Any volunteer from the participant? Who is volunteer? Volunteer, can you raise your hand? Est-ce qu'il y a des volontaires pour nous faire l'économie de ce qui a été fait hier?
Are there any volunteers to make some kind of recap of what was done yesterday? Otherwise, we're going to ask the headquarters or the presenters to make a recap. I can't see any hands raised. I can see no hands. Maybe people are not awake yet. So please take some coffee to feel comfortable.
So Maria, if you would like to address this first item, please go ahead.
Many thanks, Karim. Yeah, maybe for tomorrow we will have volunteers. It would be nice if someone would like to volunteer for tomorrow. We will have as well the backup of day 2. So yesterday we introduced you the PPR situation in the region and the challenges in its control, as well as rabies control in the region and current situation, and what are the challenges that you are facing regarding the control of those 2 diseases. The second part of the day 1, we dedicated to standard operating procedure for application for an official status recognition or endorsement of official control program for those 2 diseases, where we spoke about main steps and how the dossier should look like, what are the dates when you should submit your dossier, and what is the entire process of evaluation of the dossier once it is submitted to the OIE, and how entire process happen. The second presentation as well related to more specific to endorsement of official control programs was dedicated to the questionnaire, to both questionnaires for PPR and for dog-mediated rabies and common points. So today we will dedicate day to rabies. We will speak more specifically about the requirements, but as well about the questionnaire for dog-mediated rabies that should be used as a template while compiling the information for an OIE endorsement of official control program. And then we will have the presentations from our global rabies coordinator, presentation from Namibia that will share, and thanks a lot for accepting to do this, to share its own experience, as it is one of 2 first countries having an OIE endorsement for its official control program. And we will have a presentation from the OIE reference lab from South Africa that will present you more what is support and what are the proposed services that they can propose to you in the control of rabies. So this will be, this was the short recap of day 1, and just a short summary of what we will do today. So that is all. Good luck to all of us. And let's start the day 2. Many thanks.
Okay, thank you. I will ask kindly Samuel to
Donc, je vais
the session. Samuel, you did a good job yesterday, so please you continue. On ne change pas une équipe qui gagne. If you don't mind.
Certainly to change a winning team, so some
you are muted.
You will call.
Okay, maybe he's not, I don't know. Okay, let us move on quickly. So the next item is OIE requirement and questionnaire on endorsement of dog-mediated rabies, and this presentation will be done by Maria, correct? Maria, you have the floor.
It's correct. Thanks a lot. So as I just mentioned it, today we will speak more specifically about endorsement of official control program for dog-mediated rabies, about OA requirements, but as well about the questionnaire that should serve you as a guidance, how to provide this information and how to show how to provide the evidence that your program, your official control program, complies with the requirements for an OA endorsement of official control program for dog-mediated rabies. The chapter that is related to rabies is 814, and it defines all the requirements regarding infection with rabies virus. Here you will see the summary table with the articles and more specific points that are linked to each of them. We will focus today mainly on Article 8.14.11 that stipulates the requirements for the OE endorsement of official control program for dog-mediated rabies. So what is the objective? You will remember that yesterday we were speaking as well shortly about the objectives of the official control programs. The main objective is to progressively improve the situation in your country and eventually be able to make a self-declaration in accordance with Chapter 1.6 as a country free from dog-mediated rabies. The application for endorsement of official control program is submitted on voluntary basis to the OIE when the measures have been already implemented through the program and when you already have some evidence about the effectiveness of the program implemented. Program should be applicable to the entire country, even if a zonal approach would be taken. In case that you are gradually implementing your program, the zone should be clearly defined in your program, but still program should be applicable to the entire country. Please remember this, this is very important. So what are the main points that are addressed in Article 8.14.11 on the requirements for an OIE endorsed official control program for dog-mediated rabies is that you should provide evidence about the capacity of the veterinary services. This information should include as well dog-mediated rabies control strategy, epidemiology of dog-mediated rabies in your country, information about surveillance, diagnostic capabilities, and vaccination, 5-year work plan and timeline, and indicators that we have mentioned it shortly yesterday, but today we will focus much more on this part, and performance indicators that should follow the technique called SMART. We will see a little bit later what does it mean and how you can use it when you are creating your own performance indicators for your work plan. Now we will go a little bit more in the details about each of these requirements. You should provide, if you remember well from yesterday's presentation, we said, yeah, how I can show that everything that I implemented in my country works well and that everything is in place. Yesterday we say that, yeah, the simple answer is to provide evidence to demonstrate this. That is challenging, but it is possible. So we will do our best to help you and to assist you during these 2 days to explain how this should be done. So you should provide the information about the capacity of veterinary services to control the disease, detailed plan of the program that is implemented, including timeline and performance indicators. Disease should be notifiable in the entire country. You should include information on early warning system and rapid detection and response to a case of rabies, general epidemiology of dog-mediated rabies in your country, measures to prevent the introduction and possible spread, and you should provide information about dog population control program in accordance with Chapter 7.7. Yesterday, we shortly touched this question, and today we will speak just a little bit more in depth because it is a very important part. I hope as well that Namibia in its presentation will share its experience as well regarding dog population control program in Namibia. So it is not all. You should as well describe well collaboration with other competent authorities, such as public health, management of wild and feral animals. Yesterday we had certain questions how you can get more in touch with public health, what are the information that you should share. We will see a little bit more in depth describe this during this presentation. You should provide information about the surveillance of dog-mediated rabies and to provide evidence that is in place in accordance with Chapter 1.4 and Article 8.14.12. Yesterday, we spoke about the vaccination, and mass dog vaccination in particular is the main way to control dog-mediated rabies. So your dossier as well should address the information about vaccine use, about vaccination campaigns, how often you do, how you are doing, and then how you follow up on vaccination coverage. And you should provide a preparedness and contingency plan as a part of your dossier. So this is how it looks like our questionnaire that gives you main guidance how to compile all this information and how to provide evidence about the points that we have just listed. The application should be sent in accordance with the SOPs that we have presented yesterday. It should be following the requirements of the Terrestrial Animal Health Code, and all this information you can find on our official web page, Oie web page related to the official status recognition. And here you have a link that will bring you, my apologies, directly to the questionnaire. So this is how you can get to all this information on the Oie web page. So this is the part you will go to what we do, official disease status. And then in this part of this page, you have all procedures. The first one is how to submit an application and what is the process to follow. And then here at the bottom, you will find as well the link to the questionnaire that will help you to compile information when submitting your dossier. So we will speak now a little bit about questionnaire layout, how to respond to each of the questions that make part of our questionnaire. So the first part is introduction. There are 4 main sections: introduction, governance of the control program for dog-mediated rabies, current status and control of dog-mediated rabies, and the 4th part is work plan, timelines, and budget of the official control program for dog-mediated rabies for next 5 years. We will start with the introduction. In the introduction, you are expected to describe more human demographics that are relevant to the spread of rabies virus in dogs, but more important, dog demographics. What is the composition of dog population in the country? To provide estimation of dog population size, to describe the methodology used for this estimation, to provide information about human-dog ratio, about dog distribution, and ecology. And then we are going to the second part that is related to the governance of the control of the disease. Here you should shortly provide the information, shortly but concise, and to answer each of the questions, to explain what are the competent authorities in your country that are involved in the supervision, control, enforcement, and monitoring of rabies-related activities. To describe the role of veterinary authorities in this and its compliance, in particular with the provisions of Chapter 3.1 and 3.2 of the Oie Terrestrial Code, how veterinary services supervise and control disease, and one additional asset, and it is always good to support all this information with the Oie PVS evaluation or any of the missions of the PVS pathways that has been conducted recently in your country. This part would include as well the information about human health system, because rabies is a very particular disease and it is very important to have a good coordination with public health. So in your dossier, you should as well provide information about healthcare system in the system and services that are related to human rabies prevention, and as well how disease is supervised, controlled, and monitored by human health system. If there is any other competent authorities, yesterday we heard from our colleague from Tunisia that it is other ministry that is in charge for the management of stray dog population. So as well, yeah, this is the information to be provided, how it is supervised, how they control, and how you share this information. And you should provide as well legal framework regarding the rabies control in the country. Usually it is a list of relevant legislation with provided summary for each of them and how it relates to rabies. Our third part is the current situation of rabies in your country, where you should provide information about the epidemiology that could include, but should not be limited to, number and location of outbreaks, to estimated rabies prevalence, to highlight current knowledge, but as well the gaps that you identified in your own program, date of implementation of the control program, to describe as well rabies surveillance, in particular rabies suspicion, what is the procedure to notify, by whom and to whom, what is the chain of command, what are the criteria to raise a rabies suspicion, and for example, what are the penalties for failure or reporting. The information on surveillance should include as well clinical surveillance, and it could be described the criteria for targeted surveillance, number of animals examined, or monitoring performance of surveillance and indicators that you have been using for this, table with suspect cases and follow-up, with a well-described follow-up investigation for each of the suspect case. What is the usual procedure? If you are doing together with public health, or it is only done by veterinary services. So this is the information that you can provide. How the sampling is done, how these samples are submitted, and what is the testing procedure. And as well, as I already a little bit mentioned it before, surveillance data management system, or how you do exchange the information on rabies cases or bites with other competent authorities. The part on rabies surveillance of your dossier should include as well number of human cases in the recent years, dog bite incidents, and post-prophylaxis exposure in humans. Of course, we were mentioning that, yeah, as a part of rabies surveillance, you should explain how the sampling is done, how the samples are submitted. In addition to this, you should provide as well do you have already labs in your country that can perform all tests, or you're obliged to send to the Oie region, to Oie reference lab for rabies, or how this is organized in your country. You should provide and describe protocols for sampling and transport of samples. If you have conducted recently any interlaboratory validation test with other labs, either at the national level or with the Oie reference labs, and what is the type of the tests that are undertaken to diagnose rabies in your country. So we are still in the section 3, where we speak about current situation of rabies. This is as well the section where you should address the question on dog-mediated rabies control strategy, and to explain what is the main way of controlling rabies in your country. Usually it is vaccination, and it is the one of the most effective and recommended way of control of rabies. What is the vaccine used, and what are the vaccination campaigns, how they are organized? Do you have specific vaccination points where the owners can come with their animals, or it is from house to house, or you do with another diseases? Yeah, this is something that you should explain how often, is it once per year, twice, if there is a specific policy regarding this part, how you prepare your teams to do the mass dog vaccination. Do you have trainings for these teams? Because it requires certain, not only human, but as well financial resources. You should supply as well information about the effectiveness of the vaccination program in your country. It could be vaccination coverage. And it is very important. We can see later as well what are the objectives and what are the performance indicators that you can use to measure this, but as well to see how you can improve this point. And you should provide the information about the compliance of the vaccine used with Chapter 3.1.17 of the Oie Terrestrial Manual. Rabies control strategy includes as well dog population management. So it should be well explained in this part how it is done, if it is done mainly at the local level and then it is collected at the national level. Who is responsible for dog population management? What are the main measures taken to control stray dog population? And as well, in this part, you should explain what are the measures implemented in your country to prevent reintroduction of rabies. This information could include import procedures, import conditions for the pets, for dogs, how you are controlling this. This section is very long and very, let's say it includes many information about current situation. It will include as well case investigation protocol, where you should describe case investigation procedures used by veterinary services, but as well national and international collaboration. For example, it could be how do you use in your country One Health coordination mechanism or any other? What is the cross-border collaboration? There are many regions that they have regular meetings with their neighboring countries to see how to control in the best way rabies, if there are regional network for this, and what is the collaboration at the regional level. So all these different things should be explained in your dossier. And very important part that we have seen yesterday as well, that it makes something very important in the control of rabies is awareness about disease and education programs. So to explain what kind of campaigns you are conducting in your country. Do you have training for personnel? Do you have training, as I already mentioned, for the vaccination teams, but as well it could be for the laboratory staff, from the staff from the veterinary services about rabies suspicions. Do you have specific awareness campaigns that are targeting schools and any other institutions? Do you have a program about responsible dog ownership and dog bite prevention? All this information could be included while preparing your dossier for an Oie endorsement of official control program. And finally, we are coming to the last point of the last big section, my apologies, of your dossier, that would include detailed plan of on the measures for control and eventual elimination of dog-mediated rabies, that it should include the objectives for the next 5 years, the timelines, how you plan progressively to implement these measures, what would be the manner to measure the success of your program, and this should be shown with the performance indicators, and you should provide as well description of funding required and annual budgets. We will speak a lot in the exercise that we will do a little bit later today about performance indicators, but something that we are recommending is to use SMART technique while working on your performance indicators. SMART, it means as you see on the screen, S like a specific, M as a measurable, A is attainable, R relevant, and T timely. So when you start to prepare your performance indicators, you start to ask yourself specific. So what exactly would you like to achieve with this specific action or program? And then we say, when we say measurable, so how you would like to identify that you have achieved this goal? What would be the measures to measure its success, its progress? All these objectives should be achievable. So you should be ambitious, but realistic. So you should have certain vision that, yeah, with a positive progress, but please be realistic. It is not always 100% everything done in 5 years. It is important to know, and it is important as well to be objective when we are proposing these smart indicators. Indicators should be relevant. So it is, when you think about your indicator, you should think, is it relevant for the actions that you are doing? It will bring you where you would like to be with, let's say, to country free from dog-mediated rabies, and it should be timely. So actually it would include when you would think to achieve your goal. But as I said, we will have more time to discuss about this during our exercise. This is one example of the timeline that it is good example. Yesterday we have seen one bad example, but this is how it looks like one good example of the indicators and how they could be measurable. But you will have the opportunity to work on your own during the exercise today. And just a few important informations in the end that we have mentioned already yesterday, but when you are preparing your application, please think about involvement of all relevant stakeholders and secure resources. Put yourself in the expert shoes, because they may not know everything and they may not know something that is not provided in your dossier. For each of the points, provide documented evidence. Be clear and concise when you are describing, and answer all questions of the questionnaire. Put clear cross-references. If you have some annexes, if you have a legislation that would you like to add, please clearly do cross-references in your dossier, and provide timeline and performance indicators. Many thanks again. If you have any question, I would be happy to answer either via chat or later during the question and answer session. Many thanks again.
Karim, I think you're speaking, but you're on mute.
Sorry. I'm saying sorry. Maria will take the question during the session Q&A, if you don't mind.
It sounds perfect. Thanks
Good.
a lot.
Now we'll move to the next presentation, Namibia's experience applying for Oie endorsement of its official control program for dog-mediated rabies. Who will make the presentation? Silence.
It's Rauna Atingo from Namibia.
Who?
Rauna Atingo from Namibia.
Okay, please take the floor. Can you hear me?
Karim?
Yeah.
Karim, I think Rauna
Yes,
has
yes.
some Rauna has some problem with the internet connection, and she's just
You can
logging.
make the presentation, Tenzin?
No.
cannot.
Rauna has some problem, has
If
some
what-
issue with the internet connection,
Okay.
and she's now connecting to the network. But
Okay. So what
to
we
save
do, maybe
time, I think we can go.
we can take the next presentation if
Yes.
Rachel is ready. Is that okay?
That's fine, Karim, no problems.
Okay, Rachel, thank you very much. So you have the floor. Please, you have
Thank you very much.
to make a presentation on a generic template for developing a national strategic plan to eliminate rabies. Please, Rachel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Karim. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep,
Yes.
we can
Perfect,
see.
thanks.
Oh,
Wonderful. So, oops, sorry. Thank you very much for having me, and it's a pleasure to join you today. So I'm going to be presenting on the development of a national strategic plan template. I'll preface this by saying a very big thank you to Thomas Muller and his team who actually developed the template. So I'm just here to present on behalf of him and that group. My job at the OIE is the Rabies coordinator, mainly coordinating the United Against Rabies Forum and various rabies networks, and trying to bring all of those efforts together to make something that's a little more coordinated for people. I'll have a little bit of an overview, but I'll just give you some context of what the United Against Rabies Forum is first, and then I'll go into what the National Strategic Template is and the various sections of that, show you how it can align with other tools that we've got, and then let you know where you can find it as well. So the United Against Rabies Forum, we established this in 2020. We were building upon the United Against Rabies collaboration, which had already been in place. And that's the group that developed this 0 by 30, this global strategic plan to eliminate dog-mediated rabies by 2030. And the reason we established the forum is that we were having a lot of people come to us and want to contribute to this strategy and contribute to a consolidated, coordinated effort, but didn't necessarily see a place for themselves to do so. So this forum meant that we could create an inclusive network of stakeholders from a really diverse range of sectors, and it's growing by the day of more people that are getting involved. But what they share in common is a vision for wanting to achieve the objectives that were set out in this strategy. In order to do this, we have a steering group that provides direction with kind of members of the tripartite organizations playing that strategic direction role. But then we have 3 action-focused working groups. And each of these working groups then focus on priority activities that we need in order to actually achieve the objectives of this strategy. So these 3 working groups, I won't go into a lot of detail, but each one was essentially supporting a single objective of the strategic plan. Effective use of vaccines, tools and technologies. We then had a group looking at strategic and operational support for countries and regions. And then a third group, which is our most recent, which are looking at advocacy and resource mobilization. But today we're going to focus just on a single activity that Working Group 2 undertook, and that was the development of this National Strategic Plan template. And the reason we decided to actually approach this was in direct response to countries that were indicating that they wanted to develop a national strategic plan, but just didn't know where to start. So the aim of this activity was really to provide something, a baseline for them to build off in order to develop and then implement their own plans. So we sat down with this group and we wanted to figure out initially what was the key requirements for having this template. So we wanted it to guide countries in developing their own country-specific template. We didn't want it to be so rigid that it wouldn't fit a varying range of countries. We obviously needed it to follow the international guidelines and standards, so not only those that OIE have set out, but obviously the standards from WHO and FAO and various international and regional organizations. We really wanted to emphasize that it was a One Health approach. So we needed stakeholder engagement across ministries of health, ministries of agriculture, ministries of education, and all those various stakeholders that were involved in implementing that plan should be consulted in building that plan as well. And then we obviously wanted to make sure that we were addressing the essential components that a national strategic plan should include. Importantly, I did mention that we wanted it to be flexible, and part of that was making sure it was flexible for countries that were quite advanced but didn't necessarily have a plan in place, but also for the countries that were just starting, so still really early on, didn't have many control activities in place. We still wanted it to be useful for them without being kind of overwhelming. And then we needed to link it with other tools and other forum products as well. So we didn't want this to be an isolated product. We needed this to link into existing guidance documents, existing policies and other tools. So the group went and reviewed a really large range of documents. There's just some of them here. But obviously the OIE policy brief and questionnaire that we've heard about already, that was consulted. We looked at existing plans, not only rabies, but various One Health strategic plans. There are also tripartite documents for addressing zoonotic diseases. The idea was all of these were compiled, the key pieces taken out of those, and then kind of put back together in something that took the important bits of these, but was still flexible enough to use. So the idea is that we have a core section of this document, and you can see those sections here. And then again, we had these addendums. So for countries that weren't at this point yet, they would still have those core aspects addressed, but they would just leave out the addendums. So things like a budget plan and action plan. For the countries that were more advanced, then we could add in those budget plans and action plans. So I should say that in terms of developing a national strategic plan, obviously it's aligned with endorsement and we want this to help countries reach that endorsement, but simply having the plan in this basic stage, there's obviously a lot more work to be done in terms of building that up to a level that we can endorse that. But the idea was at least we could get them started with something basic. So you can see kind of a few snapshots here of the design. It's still very open to feedback. We wanted this to be a document that was not just static, it would be updated according to country feedback. If they used it and felt like something critical was missing, then we could at least take that on board and revise it. But essentially we filled in sections with starter text of going, these are some of the things that you can use to advocate to your ministries for why rabies is important. And then you just need to fill in the sections that are relevant to your country and your epidemiological situation. It also included a section guiding countries and stakeholders through how they should prepare this, who they should contact, the relevant ministries, and other things that they should consider looking for in their countries to help build this, this plan. Again, it's got those user instructions. We've got various text that's been pulled from established text, global, international guidance documents that can help guide you build those various sections of the document. They also put a lot of work into building example tables. So for data to be presented in a really clear, concise, and useful manner. So similar when Maria was talking about those smart indicators and monitoring and evaluation aspects, we wanted to sit down and go, how do we make this as easy as possible for countries to build their own template? Here are some example tables and the data that you should include, including budget tables. We have kind of a achievements, gaps and opportunities table in there as well. And we have example action plans that can be filled in. So here you have an example of an action plan, clearly with the objective, what the activities are and the planned activities and outcomes, indicators, and the timeline as well. Importantly, you've also got who is responsible. So there's something in that document clearly outlining the responsible parties, who should be driving this and what progress and when we should be seeing it. Now we've got a few other aspects and I won't go really heavily into these, but obviously the United Against Rabies Forum has got a lot of activities going on and we're anticipating that some of these will tie in really nicely with the template as well. One of these is the minimum data elements document, which is being built by one of our working group 1. And the idea is this is a fairly comprehensive document that has pulled together all of the international guidance that we've got, and then provided a concise guidance document for the collection of key programmatic data, helping countries to identify what they need to include, but also the process for submitting that data to international agencies. And that in itself, in helping countries collect that data and what's important and how to submit it, can then feed back into your national strategic plan to help build that out. We also have a tool evaluation work stream. Again, we have a lot of tools that are available for rabies, but either countries aren't aware that they're available or they're not always sure of how to use those for those programs. So this work stream is really looking at putting together a toolkit, providing guidance for this, and we'll help link that to the national strategic plan. So when you have your action plan, you have these things that you need to set out and achieve. What are some of the tools that are available to help you achieve that action plan? We'll also be building a partnership map, and the idea of that is that we'll be helping to map where various partners are working within countries. So this is at an international level. Country A has got these partners working in it. How can we help them coordinate the activities? And how can you then bring them into part of that stakeholder engagement when you're developing that national strategic plan? We've also got a roadmap, which you can see a picture of here of how do we, so using the SARE assessment potentially as a starter, how do we take one of those assessments, see what capacity the country is at, and then help build one of those action plans that is going to be part of your national strategic plan. And by repeatedly assessing this, we can see at what milestones we go through and how we're progressing. And this is just a snapshot, but one of those milestones will be the OIE endorsement. So once we've reached a certain point, we've got the endorsement of that national strategic plan, and it's a big tick on that milestone from an international perspective. So that roadmap aligns with not only the OIE processes, but also the WHO processes and things like that. So we tried to compile that all into a really simple roadmap that countries can help picture themselves going through and achieving milestone after milestone. So the idea is all of these can feed back into your national strategic plan. You'll have the template, but you'll also have all of these tools that will help you build that and then implement that plan. So at the moment, it is freely available, but unfortunately you do have to email me directly just to get that, simply because we had nowhere to put it for the moment. But really excitingly, we are expecting the launch of our website in the next couple of weeks. You can see the URL here. It won't work at the moment, sorry, but in the next couple of weeks, there will be a section that you can go to, clearly labeled resources. And you'll have, we've got it available in both English and French, and you'll be able to download that directly from the website. But in the meantime, please do feel free to email me and I can provide you with that. So thank you very much. We've got a lot of people in the United Against Rabies Forum that are working incredibly hard to produce these tools and things that can help countries. But in particular, the work stream of Working Group 2 that developed this, as I said, Thomas Müller from FLI led that and provided a lot of the content for this presentation. So a very big thank you to them, and all of them, and myself included, are very happy if you ever need to reach out to us with questions or feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. So now I think we can go to the session Q&A. Or Namibia is ready, or Namibia is ready. Tenzin, is Namibia ready?
No, she keeps registering and then drops out. So.
Can you hear me? It's Rauna speaking,
okay.
From Namibia.
Okay. Maybe if
can you hear
don't
me?
mind, yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Let us give you the floor to make your presentation, and after that we'll go for break, and when we come back we'll go on session Q&A. Is that okay with for all? Hello?
I'm ready to do the presentation.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Rauna. You have the floor. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Let me just start sharing my presentation.
Go ahead.
She's still connected, but
yeah.
Maybe it's better that Tenzin shares the slides now.
Okay.
Tenzin,
you have her. Okay, it is coming. It is coming.
Can you see my presentation?
Coming. Not
okay.
yet. Coming.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
Okay.
Your speaker is not working.
Please close your mic. colleague. I think there is a problem. Maybe you can share. Rauna, maybe you stop sharing your screen. If Tenzin has your presentation, maybe he can share it.
Okay, Tenzin, can you share the presentation?
Tenzin, do you have a presentation?
Yes,
Please
I have.
share the screen, yeah. Okay. Dr. Rauna, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I have to apologize. I had a technical problem and some internet issues. Maybe if Tenzin can just go to the next slides. I was asked to present the Namibian experience with regards to preparation the dossier document as well as submission to OIE for endorsement. And my presentation will actually go in line with the outline that was submitted to Namibia by OIE. What do we need to focus on? And first of all, I have to talk a little bit about the implementation strategy for control of the dog-mediated rabies. And then I will talk about the institutions which have been involved with the drawing up the documents, as well as institutions who have been involved with formulation of the dossier documents. How did we plan our activities? How do we prepare ourselves? How did we collect the required information at a national level involving the relevant institutions, services, and stakeholders? The timeline of events with regards to the collection and compilation of the information, and also answering to the relevant information. I just a little bit, I'm very sorry because I have got, I think I regret being here. I've got a lot of disturbances now coming in. I need to change my position.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Tenzin. Moving forward, I need to look at what are the basic questions to answer to the process of submitting the dossier. As a country, we needed to answer to the questions of what really made Namibia to do the submission of the applications. And Namibia is a member state of the OIE, and it was our own wish that we apply for OIE recognition for our official control program and for endorsement. And this has to be done in accordance with the chapter 8.14 of the Treasury Animal Health Code of the OIE. And of course, we're not forced. It was our own wish. And rabies is currently an endemic disease in Namibia, with incidents in the central and northern areas of the country. And we needed to address a number of requirements that has been contained in the Treasury Animal Health Code. And we have actually done this in the past with regard to other TADs. Like in 1997, we successfully applied for official OIE recognition of FMD-free zone without vaccination, whereby within that zone, we can actually trade freely with our trading partners with regard to our beef and also on live animals as well. And we also applied for an official control program for FMD and CBBP in the infected as well as protection zone. And I'm also happy to share with you that in 2015, we also applied and get endorsed for the official free zone of PPR. And Namibia as a country was one of the first in Africa to receive the official recognition of negligible risks.
Thank you. I wanted to commend the Namibians for their experience, the entire team there for their results.
Et la rage. Mais comme vous voyez,
in eradicating rabies. But as you can see, I can see that for the most of the cases, it is management of the population of stray dogs. I would see this opportunity with the presence of veterinary service officials and Oie experts. I would ask what are Oie guidelines about management of dog populations, particularly for stray dogs.
avec les lois de bien-être animal, et
As you
avec
know, of course, with the laws, animal legislation, and with animal well-being, you know, there is no animal stamping out activities. I would like to know what Oie's position is about this issue. So, don't
Rachel, you understood the question. It is about the stray dog population management. What is the Oie strategy regarding this issue? And then our colleague from Namibia, there is one last question. Are there tools being used to come up with dog population? So first Rachel, and then I will conclude with Namibia, and then we will really move on. Thank you.
Thanks, Kareem. Could you just repeat that question? Sorry, I didn't catch all of it.
The stray dog population management.
Right, so there's a couple of aspects to that. Maria might be able to add some more, but certainly from the OIE side, there's some guidance. It has been mentioned in the United Against Rabies Forum as well. It's come up as a really common constraint from countries. And we know that that is a problem. One of the things of dealing with accessing stray dogs or free roaming dogs will be the oral rabies vaccines. That will hopefully be a game changer. And one of the activities of our working groups is looking at how to improve uptake of oral rabies vaccination to improve access of free roaming dogs. And then one of our other working groups is also looking at vaccination strategies. So how to just improve vaccination coverage with kind of various methods and things. So there'll definitely be some guidance and some output from the working groups and from the United Against Rabies Forum, hopefully in the next 6 months to help with that. And we'll certainly keep you posted. Maria, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add to that.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, thank you for the question as well, Tunisia. Yeah, maybe to add that, yeah, specific requirements and the recommendations of the OIE are stipulated in chapter 7.7 that is currently under revision. And it will be proposed, it is proposed for the adoption this year. So probably the best thing would be to look at the revised chapter 7.7 just after the adoption in May this year, after the general session, and to see the main recommendations provided regarding the dog population management and what are the measures recommended by the OIE. Thanks. I hope this answers and helps
La
to
Tunisie,
find.
c'est bon? La question a été répondue?
Oui,
Donc,
merci beaucoup.
voilà le chapitre
Oui.
7.7.
C'est une très bonne nouvelle qu'on aura après la session des réponses à ça.
Very good news we'll have as the session addresses this issue. Donc,
How you come up with estimating the dog population in your country? Did you use any tool? Namibia? Okay, if not,
Sorry,
I think it
I was
can
talking
be.
to my, I was
Oh.
talking to, I was
Sorry.
talking to myself.
Okay, no problem.
With regards to the tools used, we actually did the survey, like in Namibia, we did the survey at a household level, which we actually did to estimate the dog population and then come up now with what is the dog to human ratio. In that sense, we can now estimate to say for one, is how many, okay, how many people to one dog? So it's a ratio. It's 1 to how many people, how many people this dog actually will belong. That's actually we did. And we also find out that the ratio might not be the same in the urban, peri-urban, as well as in the village. It also depends, number one, on sometimes the reason why people are keeping these dogs, because there are so various reasons to why people are keeping their dogs. Some they are keeping as pets, some they are keeping as for security purposes. And we also find that in Namibia, majority of the people, they are keeping it for security, meaning that they are to protect them, to protect their properties, and also to protect their livestock. They use them as guiding dogs for their livestock. So the ratio will differ from different setup.
Okay, thank you. So I think Tenzin also provided some guidance in the chat. You can read it. Okay, good. So now I think we have to move to the next presentation, usually provided by Mulumba Mishek. Support given to members by Oie reference laboratories on rabies in the region, OVI. Please, Dr. Mishek Mulumba.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Who is speaking?
My name is Dr. Mparamoto. I will present on behalf of Dr. Mulumba.
Okay, good. So you have the floor. Go ahead.
If I can have the right to share my screen.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Can you see my screen? Hello?
We do,
Yes.
we do.
Yes, we
Just
can.
put in a
Yes, we can-
slideshow.
Yes, yes,
You can see it?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, like I said, my name is Dr.
Can you
Mparamoto.
please put it on slideshow
Okay, let me see. Design.
at the bottom
Oh.
right?
Where do I go now?
At the bottom right.
The bottom.
Uh,
The last.
At the
The
bottom
last
right of your screen.
Bottom right.
Before.
No.
No. Before that. Before
Maybe,
zooming, you have an icon.
Can
Before
see, let
zooming,
me
you
see.
have an icon. Just before zooming. Before that icon.
The
Yes,
one.
this one.
Okay.
Is that okay now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's a brief background. The OIE reference laboratories are designated by the Director General of the World Organization for Animal Health. These laboratories provide scientific and technical assistance and or expert advice on rabies diagnosis and control. Currently, there are at least 12 designated OIE reference laboratories for rabies around the world. So this is the map showing the 12 rabies, OIE rabies designated laboratories around the world. And as is a RC on the Stepwood Veterinary Institute, we were designated in OIE reference laboratory for rabies since 1993. And in addition of rabies, we also houses other OIE reference laboratories. For example, FMD, African swine fever. So the main functions as an OIE reference laboratory are to reinforce the surveillance and control of animal rabies, for in our case, in the SADC member states, to provide scientific and technical training for personnel in the region, to provide diagnostic testing facility for the region, to store and distribute the biological reference material for diagnosis and control of rabies in the region. We also tasked with developing and validating new procedures or methods for the diagnosis and control of rabies in the region and elsewhere on the continent. This shows the OIE methods which are for diagnosis. This is the list of all the methods which are available. And when I come to RC, we are doing the two methods which are accredited by SANAS according to ISO 17025 standards, which we are using currently at RC, are the direct fluorescent antibody test and the fluorescent antibody virus neutralization test. On these two methods, I think on the fluorescent antibody tests, we are carrying roughly, for the past year, I think we did about 500 brain samples. And on the virus neutralization test, we did approximately 4,000 samples, and 10% of these samples were from countries in Africa. The lab also uses the rabies tissue couch isolation tests, direct rapid immunohistochemical tests, the reverse transcriptase PCR, mouse inoculation tests. These ones, we use them, but they have not yet been validated. We hopefully by end of next year, we have these methods validated and approved by SANAS for use. So the support which we have given to the SADC region, I think the lab conducted regional theoretical and practical training on rabies diagnosis. This program started in 2009. 14 people, sorry. So we had 14 participants from SADC countries, except Mauritius. After attending the course, the skills and knowledge on the recommended basic method for rabies diagnosis were enhanced. However, there were gaps identified during training, and it was recommended that such gaps should be addressed during the next individual or group training. So I think this training from 2009, it culminated in 2011. And from 2011, there have been visits to member states. For example, Swaziland and the DRC, they were visited in 2016. Ethiopia, Mozambique, and Nigeria, they were visited in 2018 as a follow-up to address the gaps which were identified. Also, as the support which were given, the lab led the rabies diagnostic testing method FAT together with rabies testing labs from Namibia and Tanzania. 10 standard operating procedures were collected from different SADC countries for harmonization. The final and complete standard operating procedure was submitted, recommended for implementation in the region. So this is the report for the SADC regional laboratory proficiency testing for rabies diagnosis, which was done. And from here, that's when all gaps were identified and follow-ups done to address the gaps which were seen. From 2011 up to 2015, we have been doing proficiency testing scheme. But from 2011, the number of participants have been reducing. So like already mentioned, most labs produce satisfactory results. However, there was a great proportion of false negatives and false positives, which were of the concern. The incorrect results could be attributed to not adhering to the protocol, microscope problems, and the inexperienced reader of the results. So from 2017, I think now it's only 2 countries which have been participating in proficiency in the laboratory testing, which is South Africa and Namibia. But on our own as a RC, we are continuing doing proficiency tests. We are a participant on the proficiency test, which is organized by ANSYS. We have already done the first run on the serology for 2022. And then it also, as a follow-up, we also supply other labs with the biological conjugates. The lab have distributed at least 50 biological conjugate vials to 5 SADC member states and 2 national labs. The 2 national labs are our sister lab in Allerton and also the National Institute of Disease Communication, which deals with the human rabies. So this is the summary of the diagnostic supports which have been given to the other countries. So Namibia, Tanzania, they sent some samples to us in 2017. Namibia sent 12, Tanzania 31. In 2018, Malawi sent 1, Namibia 29, Tanzania 2. And the last time we received samples, brain samples, was in 2019, Namibia 1, Tanzania 1. So in conclusion, we have been trying our level best to support collaborating regional labs. In terms of collaboration, in 2012, we successfully completed an OIE laboratory twinning project with the National Veterinary Research Institute in Nigeria. Currently, we are involved in a new twinning agreement with Animal Health Institute of Ethiopia. This one we have recently started. We could not do it last year because of COVID challenges, but now we are preparing to receive our Ethiopian counterparts. So our hope is to have funds available to further capacitate the regional labs to perform basic rabies diagnostic tests. Our greatest challenge now is we are not so sure whether the labs, they are no longer sending samples to us because they are competent, or I don't know, but like indicated, the last time we received sample was in 2019. So it is our hope and wish if we could have some funds to so that we can send or we can initiate professional tests with our neighboring countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Now we move on to the next session, Rabies case study on timeline and indicators. I will hand over the floor to Maria.
Yeah, thank you.
Please
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Karim. So this case study will be done in the groups. So you will be split in the groups by the language and by the country. So you have received, I hope that all of you will receive the exercise yesterday evening and as well on Friday, that you had an opportunity to start reading this exercise and thinking a little bit about. So in the exercise that we will work on it today, it is exercise that is focusing on the dog-mediated rabies, and in particular on the how to create smart indicators for the objectives that you would like to achieve. So what I will just share on my screen just to confirm that we are on the same page, all of us. So this is the exercise that we will do today. So as you will see, you are preparing dossier and you are particularly asked to work on the section 4 that relates to the work plan. This is the table that you should complete with your group. Please discuss possible objectives. And then you have 3 fields here to create your own objectives, but as well to create your smart indicators for those ones that are in gray to continue completing. For each of the group, it will be someone of us helping you. Please don't hesitate to ask if you have any question. We are there to support you. Group exercise will take 40 minutes, and then we are coming back all to the plenary session when we will ask you to present the results of your exercise. What is important is please at the beginning of this session, please nominate the chair and the rapporteur in the group. So the chair will facilitate the discussion and take care about the time that we have. And the rapporteur, it will be the colleague who will present the results for all of your groups. So we will activate now we will activate the breakout rooms and see you there. Yeah, see you in 40 minutes in the plenary session again. Many thanks.
At 2:23, we'll resume. Thank you.
Yes, please let me know if there is anyone that doesn't have a room or you don't have a possibility to go to any of breakout rooms and you wish, so we can do this immediately manually. Yeah.
Okay, so see you in 40 minutes.
Could you specify the number of minutes again? I think I heard 40 minutes.
The presentation on outcome of case studies. Hello, who is speaking? Somebody was talking. Can we move on? You are all ready?
It seems that we are all there. So yeah, maybe we can see if there is one of the groups who would like to volunteer to present the results.
So it will be one group by group, huh? Correct?
It would be the best if each group can present
How many
its
groups
results.
we have?
But we have 20 minutes, so maybe one group can present and then we can ask other groups to complete
Okay.
the discussion.
Okay. Who is volunteer to present? Oh, Cameroon. Jean-Marc, you want to
Zambia.
present or you have a question?
Zambia can present.
C'est pour la présentation sur rapporteur de notre groupe.
Okay, you are reporting, going to report on your group.
Très bien.
So Cameroon is volunteer,
behalf of the
Zambia
group.
is also volunteer.
Okay.
Algeria also is volunteer. Okay, Cameroon started to share his screen, so we'll agree to leave him making the presentation.
They were the fastest.
Yes, and Zambia and Algeria will complement. Okay. So Jean-Marc, you have the floor. Cameroon.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I will do my presentation in French because the group is French. Je présente le rapport de notre groupe. Pour le signaler, dans notre groupe, il y avait les pays suivants.
Okay, we can report it. Got Cameroon, Cape Verde, Benin, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire. Oie expert who helped us with the work. We went from.
En lisant le scénario et en revenant.
The number of indicators. Of course, we got a SMART indicator, and then we go back to performance indicators in red. You will see in red on our report.
Et la sensibilisation dont il était question d'augmenter le pourcentage des écoles.
Sorry, it's not coming. Huh? Got problem with the network. Okay. Okay, we have already had 40 to 50%. We had 50% development in reduced to 5% to reach the percentage of indicators. Well, on surveillance activities, we moved from 50% of provinces to 70 the next year, and the second 60, 70, and in the third year, we have a linear growth of 10%.
De l'approche multisectorielle impliquant les...
Sorry, we can't hear. Well, under the sectoral approach, we moved on the premise that work must be done at the national level, and we moved from a low level of 25%. Pulling the group work.
75% la troisième année, 80%.
We reached 50% the second year, 75% the third year, 84% and 100% the last year. Reduction by 80%, reduction of stray dogs, 10% the first year. Stray dog technology, you need to have expertise. Then we had a 20% growth, 50% the third year, 70%, and then 80% the last year. We had indicators for resource mobilization. It is true that many things we worked on with such a project in terms of advocacy and other things with the government side. Of course, we need this indicator.
Prise en compte. Voilà, Monsieur le Président.
And monitoring activities must really go hand in hand, must be taken into account. This is, Mr. Chairman, the summary of the group work. I don't know if people have something to add to this. Thank you. I have a small question. It's a proposal, particularly with mobilization of
contrôle d'éradication.
Human resources, financial resources, control and eradication. How do you intend to measure the progress in such an indicator if there is any progress made in that respect? Here we started discussions in the group, knowing that to implement such a project, human and material and financial resources at the beginning need to be available, but you have an initial funding with separate indicators. So the input of the government part must be taken into account on a yearly basis. This is how we started, and the group work members can continue, but we didn't get time to finalize it. Thank you for your answer. Thank you. Okay, I have a question, please. You talked about reduction of stray dog populations. How would you proceed? Jamak, you hear the question from Algeria, right? Yeah. Actually, in the group, we said that this was very important in a control eradication program. Of course, all indicators are not included, but you need a baseline study to know about existing population, dog population. Here we talked about, animal well-being, including, sequestration or reinsertion of such animals. Of course, the first year of such activity would be kind of a big challenge, but beginning in the second year, the resources and the people who are in the program or the activity itself must be more clear cut, so that in the second year we could go have a 20% growth. And now I think somebody proposed such activities. You can complete the summary of discussions that I've just talked about. Merci. Okay. Merci.
Complement this table, isn't it? Or if they have something new, which is different, so that we can then later on really come up with a kind of agreement. Zambia.
Est-ce que je peux complémenter en attendant?
Bien, allez-y.
C'est le
complete.
La Tunisie, Madagascar, Mali.
It's a group 5. You got Algeria, Tunisia, Madagascar, Mali. Well, I hope I didn't omit any. We propose 3 performance indicators, sensitization of rural populations and risk areas on the dangers of rabies, importance of notification and vaccination of animals. But then in risk areas to sensitize people. Second year, 60%, third year, 75%, fourth year, 80%. Until we reach and a 100% coverage rate. Well, identification of the dog population with owners, and then mandatory, reporting or keeping of canine population. First, you need identification of owners, 85% of countries, provinces in the first year, 50% for the second year, 75% for the fourth year, and 100% for the fifth year. And the third indicator is continuing education for field teams in the area of surveillance, vaccination, and how to proceed in case of diseases, of cases, rabies cases. So indicator would be the rate of, the people trained per category, and then for the other years, it is updating, depending on the individuals with continuing education.
Merci, c'est bon?
All right, thank you. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Okay, Zambia.
Please take the floor.
Thank
and
you.
comment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I can share the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for our group, we added on case management, we added different indicators, and one of them was to have a workshop for stakeholders to prepare guidelines on integrated bite case management in the first year, and subsequent years we intend now to increase the coverage of the personnel trained in IPCM guidelines. So that we have the second year 40% of the vet and human personnel trained, eventually taken to 60%, and up to the last year where we do 100% coverage of vet and human personnel trained in IPCM guidelines. So that was an addition to this. And we also, on the first year, we also said 100% of TOTs trained who are eventually going to train the personnel in the indicators that I've already mentioned. And we also added some other smart indicators. So we had the sixth one where we didn't complete, but we need to conduct dog population estimates to guide the planning. The seventh one, we added that we need to deliver messages to the community. And on that one, we attempted on some indicators on the two subsequent years, one workshop in the first year to develop messages, and then we, in that same year, have 10 prints and 3 radio messages prepared. And the second year, subsequently, we increased to 50% national coverage in terms of messages. And eventually, of course, the coverage would increase, but we didn't complete. We had another indicator of management of the stray dogs. We didn't complete that one. And then another indicator said we conduct regional training. Of course, we didn't complete. So these are some of the additions. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Maria, if you can conclude, so we are coming to the end of this today's session. You can wrap up, and then I think question and answer, I think it is the same. We had all groups had the opportunity really to comment.
Yes.
So Maria, if you can wrap up so that we conclude for the day.
Many thanks. Many thanks to all participants for their participation today, and in particular for the exercise. I hope it was useful and it was helpful for you to see how you can create your own objectives and performance indicators once you are preparing your plan, your program for official endorsement of.
Please, can you use your mic? Yes,
Yeah,
Maria.
it is fine now. You will see, some of the groups they were putting 100% as one of the aims of the to achieve. Sometimes you should be realistic as well. It should not be always everything 100%. You should see what is achievable for you according to the resources you have, and even if you set up certain specific objective and a specific performance indicator for a specific year, but you could not achieve, there is always the way to justify this and to provide what will be the corrective measures for this to achieve maybe in the upcoming months. For example, we would never expect the COVID crisis that we had 2 years ago, and that actually it slowed down any kind of actions on the field. And yeah, Namibia was mentioning as well. So even in this case, and if you are not able to achieve everything that is planned, it is important to provide and to say what are the corrective measures and how you plan to improve this. I really hope that this was useful today. Tomorrow we will continue to work on PPR, and we will focus again on the performance indicators, because really we think it is something very important, and that it should be one of the things and the messages that you should take home from this workshop. If you have any questions, we will be very happy to answer. Even after workshop, please don't hesitate to contact us by email. But now, yeah, if you have any further question or you would like to add something, please go ahead. We are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. We still have 5 minutes. So if you have a question, please don't hesitate. Si vous avez des questions, nous avons encore 5 minutes. Hein? Donc, vous avez la possibilité d'intervenir.
If you have further questions, we have 5 more minutes. You have the opportunity to ask them. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. So our own group work was, we didn't have the opportunity to present. I don't know whether you can allow
go ahead.
Rauna to make a presentation our own group, because we were divided into group, but we are calling countries to make presentation. So I don't know whether Rauna can project our work.
Please go ahead. We still have time. Please,
okay.
5 minutes. Okay.
Rauna, can you project, please? Rauna.
Hello?
Yes, it is coming. It is coming.
Okay.
Yeah, here it is.
Chairman?
Yes. Go ahead. You have it.
Okay, Rauna is here. I think she has projected.
Yeah, you have it. Go ahead.
Hello?
She's muted.
Hello?
Who is going to present? If it is Natalie, so your mic is.
No, it's not me, but Rauna is muted.
So
Okay,
Rauna,
it seems better now.
Yeah, it's better now. I unmuted myself. I was struggling. Okay. I haven't really followed very well with regard to our other groups, what they indicated. And I'm apologizing at the beginning if I'm repeating what they have already talked about. With regards to the education and awareness, our increase over the years was actually based on the initial data that we are given, which is the provincial level. Like we have got 31 provinces, and our percentage of increase over the years is that we are not going to do it at once in all of the provinces, but we will increase, whereby we said from the first year and second year it was already provided, and then we moved on to second and the third to the fifth year will be increasing by 10% from year 3 to year 4, and then on the last year we can at least do 90% coverage. And with regards to enhancing surveillance, we also said for each year over the period of time, considering our resources and attaining our SMART goals, we can actually increase by 20% over the years, leading towards our achievement. The issue on, I think this was covered by most of the people on by case management. We had a long debate because we didn't really understood at the beginning whether this is bite cases, management of bite cases, or it was management of rabies cases. And then we got it to say management of cases. But when we look at it again, I'm looking at it again, I think we are more focusing on investigating cases, but it was more on producing a document, if that is correct. That's why you are seeing there that we have put actually a percentage of the rabies cases that we will be managing using IBCM, assuming that we already have our IBCM in place. Coming to the additional that we have, we said we will look at the control of stray dogs population using the standardization method. And we said over the period of 5 years, we want to achieve at least 30%, of which we start over with 10% and we increase by 5% each year. Putting into consideration that this is an expensive method, it says an expensive exercise, and we do not want to utilize much of our resources that we have through this only exercise, because we want more of it to go through to vaccination. Another one that we added is, I think, I don't know if it was talked on the management of bite cases, whereby we want to increase the accessibility of PEP at a provisional level, so that we start off with 50%, and over the period of time we increase with 10% to achieve 90%. We want at least all 90% of the victims that have been bitten by dogs, they should have access to PEP. Do we still have time for me to talk about the last one?
Yeah, please go ahead quickly.
Okay. The last one is, it was to strengthen laboratory capacity. Of course, it's also a provisional level, because we feel that for us to be able to improve our control strategy, we should be able to test those samples, and it has to be done in a very shortest period of time. And then this can only achieve the ones we have got access to where function laboratory. And we said we will increase, this was on the last minute as we were exiting the group, and then I was trying to get inputs from the colleague. If I didn't get it wrong, we want at least to have got to be adding 2 labs each year over a period of time and capacitate them, and we can have a total of lab at a national level in the country. So that was it for our group.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think all groups had the opportunity to make their presentation. So last word I will give it to Tunisia, and then Maria, you will react to this last presentation, then we wrap up. Tunisie, vous avez la parole. La Tunisie, votre micro est fermé.
Juste une petite question, excusez-moi, puisqu'on est à
a little question, because we are at the level of evaluation of the program, of the control of rabies control programs. I would like to know, we had a discussion in our group regarding the percentages. How do you establish the indicators? Can we go all the way up to 100% and leave an error margin, a margin of error? I would like to know, with regards to the Oie, during the evaluation of the different countries for the program, to which percentage the Oie can tolerate an error margin for the implementation of some activities.
concernant les indicateurs, hein?
I can take this question, and yeah, just a few comments about the last group presenting that that was presented by our colleague from Namibia. So first I will answer the question from Tunisia. So yeah, the first year when you are submitting dossier, you are submitting as well, or if I can as well answer. Yeah, let's in English. First year when you're presenting your dossier, you should present as well this work plan for 5 years. And you will set up certain percentage according to the indicators and objectives that you are planning, and what is realistic for your country. What do you think for the period over the 5 years? Of course, it can happen that it is not every year. So yeah, once you submitted this, every year there is a period of annual reconfirmation that is in November that we shortly mentioned it yesterday during.
We cannot hear Maria. Maria, we cannot hear you.
On the progress regarding your official control program. So, for example, if you fixed that for the year one, after the endorsement of the OIE of your official control program, you will achieve a percentage of 60% of all provinces in your country that had 70% vaccination coverage, that is recommended percentage. We will evaluate this. You should put what is the real one that you achieved for the year one. We will check this information. Of course, it can happen that you don't achieve the one that you identify when you were submitting. There is no really, the percentage we have a limit. It should be like this, or there is a minimum of percentage you should achieve. No, even if it is not achieved for the specific year, according to your work plan, if you submit specific control measures, corrective measures, and how you think to improve this will be accepted, of course. And then next year again, we will see at which percentage we are or you are with the progress of your program, and see how the corrective measures influenced further progress. But there is no really, yesterday we mentioned it, 3 principal points that could make withdrawal of the endorsement of official control, but it is not something that indicators. Really, it should be something significant in your official control program that doesn't work, that this happens. So there is no really limit. As soon as you can justify and provide corrective measures and what are your plans to address the identified gap or shortcoming, there is no, it is acceptable from the OIE side. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. C'est bon.
Oui, merci beaucoup.
Je vous en prie.
C'est gentil, merci.
Okay, so I think we can conclude, we can call it a day now. We are 7-8 minutes late. So if there is no more questions, so I think we can stop here and say until tomorrow at the same time, 10 GMT, which is 12 Paris time, correct?
Indeed, correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So
thank you.
We call it a day. So until tomorrow.
Yeah,
Many
thanks.
Bye.
Have a nice afternoon and evening, and see you tomorrow. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you. À demain.
Thank you. See you
À
tomorrow.
demain. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Are we remaining behind or not?
Au revoir.
À demain. À demain. À demain.